After building over 400 landing pages in 80 niches, I've narrowed down the process to just 4 simple steps that anyone can follow to build a $1 million landing page. This is the same process that we use to help Influence Hunter bring in over 40 book calls per week and generate over $3 million in revenue off the back of just one single landing page. And in this video, I'm going to show you the exact process as to how to build one of these pages so that you can just take my literal playbook and build your own super high converting landing page. The first thing we're going to cover is why do you actually need a landing page in the first place? So imagine this, you have the perfect product or service and you're spending all this money on ads, on SEO, on other marketing, on countless hours of outreach, and you're getting all this traffic to your webpage, but people just bounce. You get no sales, you get no leads, just complete wasted effort. The reason why is because of your landing page. A landing page is more than just any page on your site. It's literally your first impression. It's your 24/7 digital salesperson, and it can often be the deciding factor between whether somebody leaves forever or whether they become a client or customer. It only takes 50 milliseconds for somebody to form an opinion about your website, and 60% of visitors will never even scroll past the top section of your website. So if you don't hook them instantly, you've already lost a huge chunk of your customers. If you have 2 companies that have the exact same traffic, the one that converts that traffic at a higher number is going to be the one that wins in the end. It's all about taking the existing traffic that you get to your landing page and converting those clicks into leads, into book calls, and ultimately into customers. I always like to say that if you want to double your revenue, you have 2 different ways of going about it. You can double your traffic or you can double your conversions. And I will take doubling your conversions any day of the week, because when you double your conversions and you drive more traffic to that landing page, the revenue and ROI you generate is also amplified. So with that in mind, let's get into it. So the very first thing we're going to look at also happens to be one of the most important areas of any landing page, so definitely lock into this. This is the topmost section of any website, and I always say this to prospects and also just doing tons of website audits every day, that this is the section that 100% of people will see. But it's also the section that 60% of people statistically will never even scroll past. So this is complete make or break, but most companies get this completely wrong. This is what we call the above the fold section. Now, there's a few key pillars that we take into account whenever we're designing a super high converting above the fold section. So the first key principle is having a crystal clear value prop and benefit driven headline above the fold. As soon as somebody goes on your website, it should be immediately clear in 5 seconds or less who you are, what you do, and what's in it for me. And that last part is the most important part. This is the part that I find 99% of brands completely get wrong. Basically, what is that core benefit that I can derive from your product or service, and how does it actually benefit me in my day-to-day life? And then the body text should help to basically reinforce that core value proposition. So try to put yourself in the shoes of the user. Would your headline and your body text really genuinely motivate somebody to reach out and actually purchase your product or service? And if not, go back to the drawing board. The other thing you need to realize is that your above the fold headline needs to be congruent with the ad or whatever got people to click in the first place, whether that's a Facebook ad, whether that's a Google ad, or even just SEO and somebody's landing on your page organically. And whatever that offer or whatever that promise was fundamentally needs to also be conveyed in the headline and the body text. So going through some examples here, the first one is DataPal. Reduce errors and save time on your warehouse operations. It doesn't get more benefit driven than this, right? They're clearly conveying that end-to-end benefit, which is reducing errors and saving time. That's ultimately what I care about. The body text helps to reinforce that value prop, and they're highlighting more benefits like lowering costs, being more efficient, dramatically improving your inventory control, all of the things that I would care about. This is actually going to get me to scroll down further and ultimately reach out in the first place. Clunty is another great example. Their headline says build more pipeline with AI powered sales outreach. So they could have just put AI powered sales outreach and left it there. And that's actually what I see often, which is just people explaining who they are and what they do. But the part that they put at the very beginning, and they've actually led with that, is building more pipeline. Again, right? That's the benefit. That's ultimately what I care about at the end of the day. The body text helps to reinforce that value prop, right? So again, they're talking about basically elaboration of what their product actually is and highlighting the AI aspect as well. The next example here is one that we've done. So the headline reads, land emails in the inbox effortlessly so that you can close more deals, right? So we could have just said email deliverability and warm-up tool, which is basically what their product is, but we're highlighting that derived benefit. And that's basically the framework that I like to operate under. Basically, keep asking yourself why and so that. Landing emails in the inbox so that you can close more deals, so that you can generate more revenue, so that you can scale and grow your business. It helps you basically get to that benefit at the very end. The body text helps to reinforce that core value prop. So we're talking about the only inbox warm-up solution that utilizes a private network that guarantees you better deliverability, better open rates and booked meetings within 14 days of signing up. So not only are we explaining who they are and what they do, but we're also trying to quantify the offer. We're saying you can expect results within 40 days of signing up. It's a super powerful way of getting people over the edge to convert. And then the CTA button, improve your deliverability. So in order to help you come up with headline frameworks, this is a table pulled from CXL. And basically it's where the value props are derived from the level of awareness. So if you have a low awareness audience, you basically want to use a value prop that would be something like achieve specific desire with the only/largest/most product type that does X valuable thing. If you have a low awareness audience, but you're trying to eliminate the pain, then you want to focus on leading with the problem that you solve. So eliminating problem with the only/largest/most product type, and then that valuable unique thing. So I find that this table kind of just helps you come up with some ideas, and it's also keeping into context the level of awareness and the value proposition type that you're trying to go after as well, which is super useful. So the second key principle is social proof above the fold. People just don't magically scroll on websites out of pure curiosity. They do so because you've given them a reason to do so. You've given them a reason to scroll and engage on the site, and you're basically building that immediate trust and credibility. People's attention spans are super low. So one of the best ways to get them to scroll down is to put things that build trust right at the very top of the website. Things like reviews, testimonials, future publications. Here's the key distinction though. It needs to be relevant to the end user and it must be impactful. So what I mean is pick the forms of social proof that will be the most relevant to your brand. If you only have 3 reviews, that's not something you really want to highlight at the top. Instead, handpick maybe 2 of those reviews and feature those at the top of your site. Likewise, if you've been featured in a bunch of places, don't just throw featured on logos. Maybe try to reinforce that by adding what did that publication specifically say about your brand at the very top of the site. One strategy that not a lot of people talk about is what I like to call stacking social proof. So instead of just using one form of social proof above the fold, use multiple forms of social proof. So the first example here is ZoomInfo. Right at the very top of the website, they have 8,000 plus G2 reviews and trusted by 35,000 businesses and all these big names. It's not at the middle of the site. It's not at the bottom. It's at the very top for a specific reason. The next example is one we did for Influence Hunter. So right at the very top of the website, you have all of the stats of results that they've gotten for their clients and for their brands. And then you also have these case studies with, again, results that they've delivered for their clients. So not just one form of social proof, but 2 to build that extra trust and credibility right at the top of the site. Here's another example for Inboxy. So we leverage these stats at the very top again, right? The average email open rate, average response rate, and spam rate. These are all metrics that we identified that their target audience cares about. And once again, we're talking about trusted by high performance sales and marketing teams and highlighting a couple logos of companies they've worked with. So the next key principle is having clear visual hierarchy. This is basically the flow of information from top to bottom. And I always like to use this visual on the right where you're going to read that big headline first, then you're going to read the headline underneath it, then this one, and then you'll read this last. All of these different pieces of headlines, they all have different levels of number 1, font size, number 2, boldedness, and these are all ways that you can basically flow and guide a user's eyes from top to bottom. And this is a really advanced technique that a lot of people just honestly underestimate as far as the impact it'll have on conversions. ChargeBee does a great job of visual hierarchy. You can see the headline here just really stands out on the page. It's much more prominent in size. It's bolded, it's white, it's stands out on the page against the blue. There's a sense of contrast. Then they go to the body text. It's a less heavy of a font, right? The weight is less, the color is different. Obviously the font size is smaller, so they've established that hierarchy just from the text itself. Then the button also stands out on the page. It's a different color, it's bold, it's big, and they have these dual CTAs as well. So if I was to basically blur out everything on this page, it's actually clear what the action is they want me to take, which is getting a demo. That's the issue a lot of landing pages I see basically have, which is that if I blur out everything, it's not even clear what the main call to action button is. You need to make that clear on the page. Visual hierarchy is the way to do it. DataPal, again, does a great job of this. You can see from top to bottom, the headline is a different color. It's a different level of boldness. The body text here is lighter font size, lighter font weight. And again, that button, that orange button really stands out on the page itself. So the next key principle is reducing fear, uncertainty, doubts. And this is what we call for short FUDs. And basically our goal is to try to reduce this as much as possible, particularly around the critical point of action. So this would be like the add to cart button for e-commerce, the book a demo CTA, and of course, you guessed it, the above the fold or the hero section. This is what gets people over the edge to actually proceed with the next stage in the user journey and ultimately convert on a website or a landing page. So typical examples of FUDs would be things like a money back guarantee, a free trial, return policy, no credit card required. These are all examples of FUDs. So snob.io, immediately in the above the fold hero section of their site, they have no credit card required, GDPR compliant, and they're also highlighting that social proof, the 4.6 stars, and the 400,000 plus users. This is a really good advanced technique as well, which is basically combining social proof with reduction of FUDs. So not only are you building trust in the above the fold, but you're also simultaneously reducing fear and uncertainty. And that's basically the winning combination to get somebody to convert immediately at the top. The last big principle is having an image or video that helps to reinforce your core value prop. So your image should help to reinforce your copy. The human brain processes images 60,000 times faster than text, and 90% of the information transmitted to the brain is visual. So many websites and landing pages that I come across fail to reinforce their value prop and what makes their organization unique, but they also fail to have a clear image or video that helps to do that. So your visual should clearly illustrate who you are and what you do. It should try to tell a compelling story, and it should really connect with your customers emotionally. That's especially for e-commerce. So first example here for Influence Hunter, they're an influencer marketing agency, and their value prop is creating social proof at scale. So what our team did was we took all of the influencer content that they've created on behalf of their brands and basically created a carousel here in the hero section. So if I'm a brand that's looking for influencer marketing, I'm able to basically see all of the content that they've produced at a high level immediately above the fold. It's such a clever, brilliant way of just reinforcing that value prop of creating social proof at scale by actually using the content that they've created. And we actually A/B tested this and saw a huge increase in conversions. And I mean, their page just converts really high on paid traffic. User Gems is another great example. So to actually illustrate what their software looks like, you can see they have this visual here, right? Capture past engagements, look for signals, and they're basically showing in an assembly line what ends up happening, right? They're basically illustrating what their product actually is. So if you take anything away from this, just remember that this is the section that you want to spend 80% of your time and energy. Absolutely nail it down in all of your website efforts and your marketing. Now let's look at the next step in building a super high converting landing page. And this is what I refer to as value prop or benefit driven sections. These are sections that are dedicated purely and entirely to just explaining your value prop and what makes you different, and basically answering that question of what's in it for me. In other words, how does your product or service actually benefit me in my day-to-day life? We consistently build super high converting landing pages that convert well above industry average. And what I find is that having literally 4 to 5 plus sections just dedicated to value props and just dedicated to these benefits is going to actually move the needle, and it's going to get people over the edge. So don't just worry about length and just have 1 to 2 sections dedicated to your value prop. As long as all of the sections are actually valuable, that's what's going to matter at the end of the day. There's a couple different ways to do benefit driven sections. First and foremost, just delineating between what a benefit is and what a feature is. So what we're focusing on with Inboxy here was basically leading with campaigns not performing, generate more leads with peace of mind. That's that benefit that I'm looking for that's derived as a result of their email warm-up tool. Here's another example, right? Better open rates, response rates, and booked meetings in 14 days. Again, that is the tangible benefit that I gain as a result of using their product. Another really powerful framework is what I call the contrast principle. So this is where you basically lead with the pain point followed by the solution. So for example, with Influence Hunter, what we've done with this headline is we reach out to thousands of influencers so you don't have to. Why is this super effective? Because in the influencer marketing space with this client, they mentioned that their users and their target audience doesn't like doing mass outreach, right? It's a very time-consuming process to go and reach out to influencers and basically get them to post on behalf of their clients. We led with that pain point, saying that we will reach out to thousands of influencers so that you don't even have to. It's the pain point, but it's also leading with that solution. This is for a mortgage lending company we worked with. So in the headline here, denied again, because that was a common pain point. People would get denied mortgages by the bank. We can help. So pain point, solution. The last powerful example is using the word you. Every time you are writing copy, try to focus on that person and what they care about. So for the Lion Group, we said, we grow your e-commerce brand like it's our own. We act as an extension of your team to help you scale your Amazon business. We only win if you do. Super powerful. It's speaking directly to the end user. Throughout this entire copy, that's what we're focusing on. Sell us your inventory, we'll handle the rest. We make sure you reach your target audience. Harness Amazon's reach without the headache. We manage the marketplace so that you can spend more time on your core competency. It's all focused on you. By the way, if you're following along in this video and you want something to actually refer to side by side as you're building your own landing page, check out the description below where I'll put my free guide and step-by-step process as to how you can build your own super high converting landing page. Okay, so the next step in building your $1 million landing page is having a super simple, low friction conversion event for customers to go through. And this is something I see literally businesses getting wrong all the time with their landing page. So there's two big things. The first thing is one of the mistakes people make is that they'll only put a CTA button at the top of their website. The issue with this is that if somebody doesn't convert at the top and they're scrolling down, they're reading other sections, they're resonating with other sections, there needs to be call to action buttons present throughout the entire landing page so that somebody can convert at any stage of the journey. The second thing you need to do is to reduce the friction that it takes for a user to convert. Make it super simple for them to proceed, only include relevant information. And all of that is just to get customers across the finish line and to whip out their credit card or their calendar and actually buy from you, right? So for Influence Hunter, what we did is if a user does not convert at the top of the website, in other words, they don't click on this learn more button here, as I go down further on the page, you can see all of these different learn more buttons that are scattered throughout. So if I resonate with this value prop as I'm going further down, something catches my eye and it really resonates with me, I can still convert at any stage of the journey. And you can see all of these different learn more buttons. We actually saw in user recordings and watching through Microsoft Clarity and heat map data as well that people were clicking on these learn more buttons throughout the entire page. They actually got click-through rates. And again, it's because if somebody doesn't convert at the top, they might convert further down in the page. Yes, they can just scroll back up to the top and click learn more, but the whole point is you want to capitalize on that interest while you have it. And you want to keep that action top of mind as well. The next big area to reduce friction is on the contact form. Think of just low-hanging fruit. First name and last name doesn't need to be two separate form entries. This can just be combined into full name, and that will already be effective on its own. You're just getting rid of one extra form field. The other thing is that the form label is being used as a placeholder. If I actually type in my email here and all of my other details, what ends up happening is it actually removes what the label of the form field was in the first place. So if I'm on mobile and I get a notification or something comes up, people have super low attention spans. I might be forgetting what I was even inputting in the first place. And this becomes an even bigger issue if you have even more form fields than what's presented here. The other big fundamental issue of this contact page is you just have contact us. I already know I'm on the contact page, so having contact us is redundant. What I would want to see here is like a benefit-driven headline as to what I can expect if I am to fill out the form. And even always here for you, like it's not really communicative of what do I actually get if I reach out and fill out this form. Give me an actual incentive as to why I should reach out. Growing my pipeline, growing my revenue, saving time, saving money, all of those different high-level points. So this is an example of a contact page that we did for a client, and you can see how simplified the conversion action is. You have just 4 form fields. You have your placeholder and label separated, but you also have these fundamentals of any high converting contact action, which is 3 to 4 bullet points as to what I can expect if I fill out the form, social proof at the point of form entry, and then giving the user a short blurb as to what they can expect and next steps if they're to fill out that form. And this was one of the many changes that we made for the line group that led to a 142% increase in conversions and qualified leads. One big piece of advice that I have when it comes to contact forms is to try to reduce the number of fields. Try to keep it to 4 form fields or less. Now, this will depend on your traffic source. Like if you're doing Facebook ads, you're going to get a lot of unqualified traffic potentially. So you might want to add additional layers of friction. So do it according to the quality of the leads that you're getting and also the volume depending on your capacity. But redundant things like first name, last name, that can just be combined. So it's always about balancing quality versus quantity. So the last big tip I have when it comes to reducing friction is more of an advanced technique, but it's called progressive disclosure. So this is basically where you make the initial action simple. You're kind of grabbing people in and making them feel like it's simple, but then you're progressively disclosing more complex information. It makes the conversion action a lot more simplified, and subconsciously it also makes the user feel like they're going through kind of this journey and they're more likely to complete that end action. Best example I can think of is like Google Maps. When you're zoomed out, you might only see a couple different items. As you zoom in, you're progressively being shown a lot more information. As you zoom in on the map, you're seeing more locations, landmarks, etc. So how does this apply when it comes to, lead gen for a landing page? Well, if you look at segment.com, you can see right here at the very top of their website, they have your work email. And if I actually type in my email here, what you can see is that it went from 1 form field to 3. So it makes me feel like the action is simple. All I need to do is enter my email to get a demo. Now that I've already entered my email, I'm like, okay, I might as well go and complete everything else, right? I've already done the first step. So that's just a creative way of getting people to go throughout the entire funnel and basically completing these more complex actions. So you can get more info from people, but you can also keep conversion in mind as well. One example I'd love to share for Influence Hunter was this learn more button. So initially what we had for their landing page was the learn more button would actually take the user to a separate contact page where they would then fill out the form, like an opt-in page. And what we A/B tested was we put the learn more button at the top of the site to automatically scroll down to the contact form itself on the same page. And we saw a 220% lift in conversions just from this A/B test. It was pretty crazy because we were watching recordings of people on Microsoft Clarity land on the site and they would digest a value prop. They'd see the image at the top, they'd see all the stats, etc. And within the first 6 to 7 seconds, we would see them click the learn more button, get taken down to the contact form, and then they would actually fill out the form straight away. So it was a pretty huge impact on conversions. And it's just a simple psychology thing. You see the value prop, you see all the stats, and you're like, I want to learn more. And the button's right there, but strategically takes you to the actually contact form. And basically it's a way of saying, if you want to learn more, you got to reach out. So we got a ton of leads just through that change. And the final step of building a high converting landing page is having social proof and trust building sections scattered throughout strategically on your landing page. Throughout your entire landing page, you should have these sections where you're basically reducing fear, anxiety, objections that customers may have. And this can be done in the form of copy, but also in your social proof as well. The social proof you use should be handpicked and be tailored to what specific pain points people actually have and what are their actual motivations or desired outcomes. So for Influence Hunter, we didn't just use one form of social proof. So here's the first form of social proof, and this one here that we spoke about earlier, that's above the fold. But then as you scroll down, you have these benefit-driven sections. You have all of the testimonials and the social proof kind of scattered throughout. Here's another form, clients that trust us, all these big names, Monster, Honda, etc. So it's not just at the top, but it's scattered throughout the middle of the site as well, and it's basically building that trust. It's basically being put as strategic touch points where we know people are dropping off to get them to scroll down further on the web page and the landing page. We took the same principle on our own site. So on one of our services pages, for every single selling point that we're mentioning, we're trying to back it up with a testimonial. So data-driven websites built to scale and sell. And then this is an actual testimonial from our customer saying having a high converting website was something that ultimately helped us become a lot more profitable. So we're using the social proof strategically to basically back up our value prop, right? It's the whole notion of people don't care what I say or think, it's what our customers think and say. Here's another example. We turn your site into a revenue generating machine, but we're using this testimonial here talking about how our client doubled their conversion rate working with us and how it really helped them scale. So it's just adding that extra level of proof strategically. So the way to collect impactful social proof is to ask your customers with leading questions around what you're actually trying to get out of them. Most people will just have like these generic customer reviews where they're not really focused on any particular goal, and they're not actually considering the implications of how that review will look on a landing page or on their website, or just even across all of their marketing collateral. And in particular, they're not considering the implications of how other customers will also perceive that social proof as well. So instead, you want to focus on asking people questions like, how did you discover us? What problem were you trying to solve? How did we help you solve that problem? What were your goals? What was your desired outcome? And that's what's going to get people to resonate when they're watching those testimonials or reading those testimonials and visualize themselves also being in the spot of that customer. One of the best ways to do this is to leverage video testimonials. We focus the testimonials around all of the pain points our ideal customer faces. Then we focus in the testimonials how we helped our customers overcome this and relating that goal back to what our ideal customer also faces. All of those optimizations that we went through are super crucial to have in place. But what if I told you that there were 11 tricks that you could implement to your landing page to instantly increase your conversions and your sales? Would you be shocked to know that just implementing these simple tricks can increase your revenue by more than 80%? If so, click here to check out the next video where I'll show you some quick wins on your landing page so that you can just flip a few switches and start becoming a lot more profitable on all of your ads or any other marketing spend that you're doing to your landing page or your website. With that said, I'll see you in the next video.